Hi there, Kelsey Toner here from Be a Better Guide and the Online Tourism Academy. We're so excited to share a brand new interview series with you here today, Pivoting Online, Success Stories and Inspiration. We've had one of our Online Tourism Academy students, Miranda Peterson, who also runs her own successful hiking and yoga tour company down in Asheville, North Carolina, to kick things off by finding 7 innovative entrepreneurs who are finding tremendous success in serving their customers online. Through these interviews, we dive into the secret sauce behind the success that they're having, the practical advice that they would share for someone wanting to follow in their footsteps, and maybe some of the things that they would do differently. Stick around to the end to learn more about how we can help you create, launch, and sell your own online experiences, and we hope you enjoy.
My name's Akila McConnell. I own Unexpected Atlanta Tours and Stories. We actually have 3 divisions. We have Atlanta Food Walks, which is what we started with. Then we have Atlanta History Tours, which we opened up about a year or almost 2 years now ago. And then, of course, in March, we opened up Unexpected Virtual Tours, which is the virtual side of the business. And we've been in business now for 5 years. We're the largest walking tour company in the city of Atlanta.
Nice. Congratulations on all of that.
Thank you. So my background is really in journalism and writing, and storytelling is a big part of what our business is. And so, when COVID happened, when the pandemic shut everything down, I basically turned around and I was like, okay, we can't sit on our hands. And I am a huge reader. I love to read, and I love history, obviously, as a history tour owner. And I said to myself, there's this actually amazing book that I always recommend to business owners to read. It's called Brew, and it's the story of Budweiser. It's actually Budweiser is, like such a huge essential part of our American heritage. But it started off with 2 immigrants who came in and they opened up this tiny company, and it's an amazing story that, and the entire company for 140 years was family owned. I mean, it was a family owned business. And, when I started thinking about the pandemic, people kept saying, oh, well, nothing like this has ever happened before. This is unprecedented. But I kept thinking about Budweiser, and I was like, no, actually, there is a precedent. And the precedent is in the 1920s, Budweiser
Prohibition.
and other breweries were doing extremely well. I mean, their business, just like the travel business had just grown and grown and grown over the last 20 years. I mean, the alcohol industry between 1890 to 1920 had just rapidly grown. And then all of a sudden Prohibition happened.
Yeah.
And in the same way that all of a sudden the government shuts down our entire business, same thing is what happened then. And so Budweiser actually, couldn't make beer anymore. So they started making ice cream. The Coors, because they couldn't make beer anymore, they started selling ceramic pottery.
Wow.
And Pabst sold the raw ingredients rather than selling beer anymore. I mean, all of these companies just pivoted like crazy and we're doing exceptional things. I mean, can you imagine eating Budweiser ice cream?
Oh God, no.
But it made sense because the refrigeration tools that you use for beer are very similar to the refrigeration tools that you use for ice cream. And so then, throughout the Prohibition time period, I mean, this is how these companies survived. And the book is really interesting because they talk about how Budweiser wasn't, I mean, at that point, it was just survival mode. They knew they had to get through it. And so pre-Prohibition, there were 1,200 breweries in the United States. Post-Prohibition, there were only 120 left. So 90% of breweries had shut down in that Prohibition time period. And what is actually even more fascinating is that, if you talk to these culinary historians and Prohibition historians, the impact of Prohibition on breweries lasted almost 75 years. Because, like people always say, oh, well, America's finally getting into small brewing now, like you see this in the last 15, 20 years. Yeah, well, that's because all of these small brewing industries were just rapidly shut down. And then these giant companies like Budweiser and Coors, those are the ones that were able to survive Prohibition. So when I looked at the tourism industry and travel industry, I basically said, well, this is what's going to happen to us. And maybe this is a very pessimistic way of looking at it. But now, 6 months later, I think this is actually realistically what is going to happen. And I'm seeing it already, is that I think probably 50% of tour operators are going to shut down. And so the ones who are going to survive are the ones who are going to really creatively pivot and transform their businesses. 2 years ago, we did a complete rebrand and we changed our name to Unexpected Atlanta Tours and Stories. And the reason why was because I didn't want to limit myself to just tours. Because it's not just the pandemic. It's also like in the wintertime. Yeah. My business really drops off. So I was like, how can we seasonal proof our business? How can we create a year-long business? And so to me, like the virtual tour business is one that I am planning on keeping post-pandemic, because it's not just about pandemic. It's also about those times where your company drops off because it's too hot or it's too cold or whatever the reason is. Well, now I can supplement our income with these virtual options. Many of the people who are purchasing our virtual tours, they're repeat customers. I mean, they're people who are purchasing every month over and over again.
You were talking about when it first happened, you're like, okay, everybody, my team, come to me with ideas. You brainstormed, you came up with the box. So tell me kind of how. I know you started with that, and I think it's evolved since then. So how...
It has. Well, and I think this is kind of, I would say, I think the really important thing that I have learned in the pandemic is that we can be both exceedingly creative and exceedingly fast. And I always thought it was one or the other. I thought, okay, we can only be creative or we can only be fast. We can't do both. But the pandemic has taught me and has taught my team that actually, we can do both. We can be exceedingly creative and exceedingly fast. And so because we started so early, so we put out our first virtual option a week after the pandemic hit. And at that point, we didn't have anything in our hand. I just basically launched a Shopify site, threw it out there to see if anybody would purchase. And then when people started purchasing, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a product. Let's order the stuff that we need and let's make the product. And we got great feedback from our customers. And the first product, it was like a $75, we will deliver to you. It had food items. It had like a video virtual tour element. But after the first time of doing that, we were like, okay, we don't want to be in the delivery business. So how can we change this?
In Atlanta?
Yeah, it was local. Okay. It was local. So we said, okay, how can we shift this to make it national? And so the problem with making it national was that the tour box had to be much more expensive. It had to be like $170 tour box. They had a lot more stuff, but still had to be more expensive. So then we thought, okay, well, the feedback we were getting from people was, we love this, but number one, it's too expensive. And number two, we want something that changes every month. We want something that, we can just keep on buying. So we went back and we were like, okay, how can we create a product that kind of ticks off these boxes? And what we came up with is our virtual tours. So basically, it's a very low price point. It's between $30 to $50, which includes treats shipped to you in a small box. It includes a 1-hour live tour. And then we change out the tour topics every other month now. So we started off doing it every 2 weeks. Then we shifted to doing it every month, and now we're doing it every other month. And the reason why was I really wanted to develop a catalog of virtual experiences so that we could sell to private customers. Because at the end of the day, at least what I have found is that our public tours is not what is making us the money. It's our private tours that's making us the money.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting. So you went, and so you said the tours were live. So do they get like a Zoom link and they just tune in that time? Yeah.
They get a Zoom link, and we make it super interactive. I think the real trick to virtual experiences is, yes, we can all watch like somebody give a
YouTube
PowerPoint
videos,
presentation. I mean, that is not very exciting.
No.
The real exciting part is when you make it super crazy interactive. So like, for example, we did a Civil War tour, and one of our guides actually is a stage combat choreographer. And so in the middle of the tour, she breaks out a real Civil War era sword, and because she has one, and because she's a stage combat choreographer, and she teaches, everybody stands up in their house, and she teaches them how to do combat techniques from the Civil War era. And we do a lot of we do a lot of puzzles while you're playing along with us. So like, we're telling you the history, and you might be making, like on that one, actually, you were making a paper quilt while you're doing the tour with us. And then on the back of the quilt is a code, and you use the code to solve a puzzle. So it's more than just sitting there and watching somebody talk. It's really kind of getting that 360-degree experience.
Yeah, engagement and interaction, because there's so much content online. Like, you're not just competing with other tour businesses. You're not just competing with, tours in general.
You're competing with Netflix.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think that's kind of I don't know if problem is the right word, but I think that's the concern I have, maybe, is I see a lot of companies who are offering virtual products, and I look at it and I'm like, well, this isn't exciting.
Yeah.
And what is exciting, what really gets people motivated, is when there's that interactive element, because that's something that you can't do on Netflix. But to me, that's the fun part.
Yeah. And I'm curious if your target has shifted at all, your target market, because obviously, being in Atlanta with the offline tours, you're limited to people that are in Atlanta. And so now by going virtual, you can reach a bigger market, national, international. And second question, I'm also curious if you've considered, like, with, schools are virtual now, and maybe somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yes to both. So actually what we have done is, so like I said, we built out this catalog. That was really what we did in the summertime. We now have 7 virtual tour experiences that we can sell to private customers. And I mean, we have next month, we're doing a corporate group for a company in Canada. I have no idea how they found us, but they found us, and we're doing a corporate event for them. We've done corporate events for companies sitting out in San Francisco. We're doing one next week, I think, for a company who's sitting in, maybe in 2 weeks, for a company who's sitting in Virginia. So it definitely expands our market. The thing that I also love, right, is that we have a pre-existing market of customers who have come to Atlanta and taken our physical tours, and they've seen how exceptional our storytelling, how exceptional our guides are. So when we put them on our email list in the past, we were always sending them emails saying, oh, when you come back to Atlanta. But now we can say, you don't have to come back to Atlanta. Here, we have a product that you can access at any time.
Yeah.
So that is very powerful. On the school side, so what we did in August was we actually converted all of our virtual tour products into virtual field trips. And they are oriented to kids, age specific. We actually have a curriculum consultant who has helped build out teacher's guides for each of our products.
Mm-hmm.
We have and align them with state social studies standards. We like make it super kid friendly. So like for elementary age, for example, one of the members of our staff, she is actually a puppeteer in addition to being a guide. So she includes puppetry. So she works for the Center for Puppetry Arts here in Atlanta, which is like the premier puppetry studio in the country. And so she includes puppetry. We have another guide who's a singer and a songwriter. So she actually makes up little ditties for the students. So, you know, it's kind of just being, like I said, it's utilizing our existing skill set and then being extraordinarily creative with how we're using our talents.
That's fantastic. Like, congratulations. So anything that can help teachers and help the kids is like, I'm sure really appreciated.
Well, yeah. And, you know, like I have a second grader, a 7-year-old. And one of the interesting things is like, she's now been in school for the last 3 weeks. And I asked her, you know, I said, you know, how are you liking school? And she said, they've taken all the fun out of school because they're still getting to do all the educational element, but that fun part where you're just sitting and talking to your friends and that sort of thing, they miss that. My daughter also attends the virtual tours. You know, she just does them with my husband just for fun. And she loves the virtual tours. And I asked her, you know, why? And she's like, it's so much fun because you get to do different things and you're learning, but you're not just sitting there and listening. So that's really been our mindset with all of this is we want to make it crazy levels of interactive. So, and we think it's possible to do it. You know, I think the upside for me and downside for other people is in the last 6 months, I've seen a lot of companies start running virtual tours and then basically saying, okay, I'm giving up on this. I'm not making money on it. But what we have seen is, as with anything else, right, you know, there is a stick-in time period where you need to be stuck in to this new business model in order to start seeing the marketing benefits coming to fruition. And you know, on our traditional products, I would say it's normally a 6-month cycle before you really see your marketing creating real revenue. And now 6 months in, we're really seeing the impact of the work that we have been putting in for the last 5 months. We do a lot of testing. We do a lot of things to keep it crazy engaging. Like I said, we always have more than one guide running a tour. We never have just one guide running a tour. So because if you only have one guide, basically it's like, you're just talking to a silent group. So we always have more than one guide running a tour. We also did a lot of testing where basically every new tour that we run, the guides run it in front of our whole team, and the team is hardcore. Like they critique. They're like, no, this is really bad, or this is really amazing. And what we're finding is that we're getting better and better and better at it. We've kind of now figured out the tools. Like I said, we're now on our I think maybe 8th product right now. And so we've gotten really good now at that adaptation element. And now they're just kind of able to run through it very quickly. Even when we're coming out with new topics, we've gotten better at, creating them. I think this pandemic has shown or put a light on leadership in companies. To be a really strong leader for your team and to be a really strong leader for your company and honestly for the industry, what you have to be aware of is that you can't do it alone. And I it's always interesting to me when, people try to live on an island. for me, I'm always trying to live in my community. So every single one of our products, we're working with other tour operators. I mean, we actually, like, for example, this month, we're running a music evolution tour where we're focusing on Nashville. And I had a friend who runs a tour business in Nashville, record a little video and we promote them. But in the same way for my guides, I think to help them succeed, I have to be humble enough to know that I don't know everything, and to really give them the ability to be crazy creative and to give them the ability to be exceptional in what they do. And I try as much as possible to keep our team small. Hours would drop during in November, December, February, or I'm sorry, December, January, February. But now I'm thinking honestly, this year, December might be one of our biggest months because we're going to be doing a holiday themed virtual tour that's going to ship everybody like this amazing holiday foodie box. And so I'm thinking that December might be a really huge month, whereas normally for our physical tours, December, we're like almost dead. It is actually we sell a lot of gift certificates, but we don't really sell physical tours because people are busy doing all the holiday stuff.
Yeah.
The way I see it, right, is so we haven't fully recovered our income with the virtual tour business. And I don't expect us to. We're doing about 25 to 50% of our regular business with the virtual tour business. But I'm okay with that because post-pandemic, we build back our regular business and then we're able to keep an additional 25% from virtual tours. Fantastic. And maybe even, and especially in the off months, like, December. So February is also a really slow month for us because it's cold. And February, our focus is on intentionally inclusive tours. So we do a lot of civil rights themed tours, things like that. And so February every year we'll do Black History focused tours, which we anyway do. And December, which is also a slow month for us, we're going to do holiday themed tours, and we keep these virtual tours running. And it's a great way to offset that seasonal impact. Whatever you are building, build it for the long term, and think to yourself, okay, where are the gaps in my business? It's just a way to make some money. It's a way to do some marketing during the season when normally you would be, getting prepared for next year. And it's a relatively low cost, but possibly high impact way to do that. Many, many, many companies are going remote. Every company right now is remote, but many companies are saying that they're going to be going remote permanently. And there's not a ton of companies out there doing exactly what we're doing. And so we're able to, bring in these new corporate groups. And because we're able to bring in these new corporate groups, I think we're getting their email addresses, we're getting their contact information, we're getting their, they're seeing what we do. So post-COVID, when everybody is finally able to do stuff, I'm hoping that, those people will convert into physical tour clients as well. Every morning I wake up and I say, okay, we're going to be Budweiser today.
Hey again, and thanks for listening to this interview. If it's inspired you to create and launch your own online tours or experiences, we want you to know that we're here to help. Virtual Tour Business is an online coaching program that covers everything you need to know about creating, launching, and selling an online experience or an online tour. It's there for innovative tour business owners looking to generate revenue, looking to leverage your existing skills to serve customers in brand new ways, and for those who are looking for purpose-driven work in these times of uncertainty. We're here to help you skip the tech headaches and overwhelm and give you the tools, tactics, and strategies that are actually working in this space. To learn more, you can visit onlinetourismacademy.com to get started today, or join us for one of our free workshops at beabetterguide.com, where we'll give you even more inspiration, tools, techniques, and practical advice on this topic. Thanks so much for tuning in, and if you did enjoy this series, feel free to share with a friend or colleague. We'll see you next time.